So I was on Facebook the other day, doom scrolling to a lot of people, but to me it's actually kind of productive because I get a lot of cool ideas for stories to cover, things to talk about when it comes to Formula 1. Now I saw a story on F1 Rush, so shout out to those guys for covering it. It all concerns going back to the V10 engines one day in Formula 1, which might sound a bit ridiculous, but it could happen, in my opinion, one day, because the FIA president, Mohammed bin Sulayem, is reportedly considering it, and there are a few reasons why this could happen. There are some reasons why it might not, and it's not going to happen for at least a good few years, until at least 2030 at the minute, in my opinion, probably even longer than that, but it's something that very much could happen, and it would be a massive PR win for Formula 1, because rightly or wrongly, the V10 era is something that is very popular and something that a lot of people love to kind of reminisce about. And I've already done a look about why the V10 era was good, but not as good as what a lot of people are making it out to be. Check that out for more details about that. Let me just go through this, guys. So, like I said, F1 Rush put this post out, and I'll just go through it and give my opinion at the end of it. FIA President Mohammed bin Sulayem has suggested Formula 1 should consider reverting to V10 engines powered by sustainable fuels in the future. F1 is transitioning to fully synthetic fuels next year as part of its new engine formula, which will feature near 50-50 split between a V6 internal combustion engine and a more powerful MGU-K electric motor. The shift aims to attract more manufacturers, with Audi joining in 2026, Cadillac planning to develop an in-house power unit by 2028, and also Honda reversing its decision to leave Formula 1, though Renault will exit as a works manufacturer, but that's because they're not very good. Despite the move towards hybrid technology, some advocate for a return to the iconic V10 engines last used on the entire grid in 2005. Yes, in 2006, Toro Rosso did use a V10 engine. That's an asterisk there, but the entire grid last used it in 2005. Ben Sulayem has called for exploring this option while defining F1's future engine regulations. He said, and I quote, "We should consider a range of directions, including the roaring sound of the V10s running on sustainable fuels," end quote, he wrote on a social media post. He also said, whichever this direction is chosen, we must support the teams and manufacturers in ensuring cost control and R&D expenditure. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has also expressed openness to alternatives, stating last year, "If sustainable fuel is doing the right job to beat zero emissions, maybe we don't need to be complicated or expensive in terms of engine development. We may think to go back to the engines that are much lighter and maybe with a good sound." While a return to V10s would appeal to nostalgic fans, it faces significant hurdles. Manufacturers remain committed to hybrid technology, and synthetic fuels are currently expensive and less efficient than the electric cars and hybrid systems. Paddy Lowe, who was the founder of Zero Petroleum and also worked for the likes of Williams and Mercedes in his Formula 1 career, he noted, "Formula 1 is a hybrid formula today, and that is actually a very good solution for mainstream automotive. For now, a V10 seems unlikely." For now is the key term in that one. Yes, for now, it would not happen. They're not as efficient. These renewable fuels, these renewable kind of sustainable fuels are not quite what they should be. In time, that could change. How long will that take? Don't know. That is an impossible thing to predict at the end of the day. So the first hurdle really is that they'll never consider it unless they are able to do that, because at the end of the day, the V10s, they are very cool in terms of the noise they make and everything, but in terms of the actual fuel that they use, it would be a lot. And the thing is as well, if you just put a V10 engine in there with a hybrid electric system on top of that too, yeah, okay, you probably get the noise of the V10, but then it just made the power absolutely ridiculous at that point. I mean, unless you had the tiniest of tiny V10 engines, but they won't even exist, I don't think. You can't, I mean, if I'm wrong, but having like a half-litre V10 just seems a bit insane to me, rather than a 1.6 V6 engine. That's more normal, more applicable to the road car industry, and that's another part of this as well. Formula 1 has to be applicable to the road car industry. Now, the MGU-K system that they use in these Formula 1 cars is very different to what you have on your road car, but the principle does remain the same if you do have that kind of technology. It is still very expensive. It's still only on the biggest of the big cars at the end of the day, at least on the scale that Formula 1 cars are. So we're a long way from it, but it could happen. It could happen, because at the end of the day, if you've got sustainable fuels, then you eliminate the problem of carbon emissions. If you eliminate the problem of carbon emissions, then you can actually go net zero very easy, which is what Formula 1 is wanting to do by 2030, something that I think they're going to do very well to achieve. They're going to have to shake things up for 2030 compared to what we're seeing in 2026. So the engines that we're going to get for those 4 seasons is going to be different for 2030. I would bet my house on that, to be honest. But those are my thoughts, guys. I mean, I would love to see it just from, because the main thing is, although I did criticize the V10 era in some aspects, a lot of the problems with the V10 era were down to refueling. A lot of the problems were down to refueling. And again, I don't think Formula 1 should have refueling for a number of different reasons. The safety aspect, but also because of the on-track action aspect. You didn't get as many overtakes on the track during the V10 era. And the same with the V8 era as well. When they actually refueled, when they got rid of refueling, overtakes on tracks increased. That is a fact. That makes the races in general more entertaining. At the end of the day as well, another part of that is the aerodynamics, and arguably even more importantly is the aerodynamics. They have to be designed in a way that encourages racing, and that is something that Formula 1 has done a bit in recent times. I feel like it's got better, and clearly they are confident of being able to do it without the traditional DRS system that we've seen over the last 15 years in Formula 1 since 2011 when it was first introduced, because they're getting rid of it for 2026. Obviously they've got active aerodynamics, there is something different with that, but there's no DRS system, so they're clearly confident of being overtaken on track. So if you get a Formula 1 sport where it's sustainable in terms of the fuel that's being used in these cars, if you have the sound of the V10s, the aggression of the V10s, the simplicity of the V10s as well, because they would obviously be a lot cheaper and easy to manufacture, then you would actually get a lot more teams. You get privateers joining the sport rather than just these giant companies potentially. It does open the door for that. So you got the show is a lot better, and you keep refueling out of it. Get rid of that. Don't bring it back. It's going to make it worse. It's going to make Formula 1 worse, in my opinion. There's a real correlation there. Rightly or wrongly, the data absolutely backs that up. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, guys, but I'm not expecting this to happen anytime soon. If, you know, the strides are made in the sustainable fuel industry, maybe we could see it for 2030, but 2035, more realistic. But it's all about if and when they get the sustainable fuels right, because when they do, that will be a game changer. That will absolutely be a game changer, not only for Formula 1, but also for the world as a whole. We won't have to be, you know, all driving electric vehicles just to eliminate our carbon emissions. If we have sustainable fuels, we can drive our regular road cars with genuine, you know, internal combustion engines and not emit greenhouse gases. It's a win-win. It's the best of both worlds. But what do you think? Would you like to see the V10s come back to Formula 1? And if so, how would you like to actually see that happen? Would you like it with the sustainable fuels, or you just think, you know what, Formula 1, we don't need that. Let's go for V10s like the good old days. Let's get the band back together. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below as always, guys. And yeah, see you soon for some more F1 content just like this. Like, share, comment, subscribe as well. And if you want to support us some more, head over to Patreon, head over to Substack. We are the largest newsletter on the Formula 1 sport as a whole in the world on Substack. So we're doing pretty well on there, but you can always help us out some more. I would really appreciate that. Thanks so much for the support. Have a great week, guys. See you very soon.